My beloved child, Archangel Michael is calling your name tonight. He is not whispering. He is begging you to listen. He says, you are chosen to witness this miracle on February 1st before 11 p.m. But you must not tell anyone. It will happen in 3 minutes. Open urgently. Listen closely now, because moments like this do not arrive loudly in the world, they arrive quietly in the soul. Something inside you paused when you heard this, and that pause was not random. Heaven has been waiting for your attention, not your fear, not your panic, but your awareness. Time is moving, yes, but not to scare you. It is moving to align you. Something that has been resting beneath the surface of your life is beginning to shift, and you are feeling it before you can explain it. Pay attention to what your heart is doing right now. That calm mixed with curiosity, that gentle pull telling you not to rush away. This is the moment where you breathe slowly and remember this truth: you were never overlooked. God has been aware of every silent question you carried, every unanswered prayer you stopped asking out loud. What is opening now is not sudden to heaven, it has been prepared for a long time. Here is where many people miss it, so stay with me. Breakthroughs do not always come with noise. Sometimes they arrive as clarity. Sometimes as understanding. Sometimes as a quiet knowing that something has finally shifted inside you. This is why you were drawn here at this exact time, not because you are late, but because you are finally ready. God says, you are not waiting on destiny, destiny has been waiting on you. Waiting for the season when your heart could hold what is coming without fear. Waiting for the moment when you would stop doubting your own worth. What is being released is not meant for everyone's ears, which is why discernment matters more than announcement. Archangel Michael says, what is moving toward you does not need validation from others to be real. Some things grow best in silence. Some answers come only when they are protected. That is why wisdom, not secrecy, is being taught to you now. You are learning when to hold something close before the world touches it. Think about your journey so far. The delays that confused you. The doors that didn't open when you expected. Those were not rejections, they were redirections. Heaven was not withholding, it was refining. You were being shaped to recognize the moment when it finally arrived, so you wouldn't mistake it or mishandle it. If this message is settling deep within you, take a second here. Let it land. And if this kind of clarity speaks to you, gently support this space by liking this message so it can reach others who are quietly searching too. God says, nothing written over your life has been erased. What belongs to you has simply been preserved. There are things connected to your purpose that required patience, not speed. That required growth, not urgency. And now the atmosphere around you is changing, not dramatically, but deliberately. Archangel Michael says, stay focused in the coming moments. Not because something will be taken from you, but because something will be revealed to you. Distractions do not come to destroy blessings, they come to delay recognition. You are being invited to stay present, aware, and grounded. There is a reason your spirit has felt restless but hopeful at the same time. You have been sensing alignment. Pieces beginning to make sense. This is what preparation feels like right before understanding arrives. And when it does, it will not overwhelm you, it will steady you. God says, you are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where growth meets timing. What unfolds next will feel natural, even if it surprises you. And when it does, you will know it did not come from noise, pressure, or fear but from trust. If this message resonates, consider staying connected and subscribing, because what comes next will continue building clarity, not confusion, strength, not anxiety. Archangel Michael says, your life is not marked by coincidence. Every step has been guided, even the ones you questioned. What opens next will not need explanation to feel real. You will recognize it by the peace it carries. As this message comes to a close, do not rush back into noise. Carry the stillness with you. Let awareness guide your next steps. And remember, some of the most powerful moments begin quietly, within. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $10. And in that narrow window of moments, everything inside you begins to realign. It won't feel chaotic or frightening, it will feel focused, as if noise fades and clarity steps forward. Something settles in your chest, something steady and undeniable, and you realize this shift was never about drama, but about direction. Heaven is not rushing you, it is centering you. Notice how awareness sharpens instead of overwhelming you. Whether you are alone or among others, there is a sense of being seen without being exposed. Not pressured, not pushed, just understood. This is what happens when something meant for your growth finally reaches you. It carries weight, yes, but the kind that grounds you instead of crushing you. Here is why discernment matters so deeply right now. Not every voice around you is meant to guide you in moments of elevation. Some people love you, but cannot yet understand the version of you that is emerging. Their questions may sound practical, their doubts may sound caring, but timing matters. Seeds grow best when they are protected, not discussed prematurely. God says, wisdom is knowing what to hold close and what to release. This season is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about alignment. What is unfolding does not need applause to be valid. It needs patience, awareness, and trust. Archangel Michael says, guard what is forming before it fully takes shape. Not because others are powerful, but because focus is. Growth requires space. Silence, in moments like this, is not secrecy, it is stewardship. Feel how your spirit recognizes this truth even before your mind explains it. That quickened heartbeat, that pull to stay present, that refusal to scroll away, those are signs of resonance, not manipulation. You are still here because something in you knows this moment carries meaning. Understand this clearly, nothing has been wasted in your life. The confusion, the waiting, the unanswered seasons, they were shaping discernment. You are learning how to stand without constant reassurance. How to trust without visible proof. That strength is now becoming useful. Archangel Michael says, unseen resistance has already been handled. What once blocked your path no longer holds authority over it. The battles you didn't even know were happening were never yours to fight. Protection was working quietly, consistently, without asking for your attention. Pay attention to what begins to fall away as much as what approaches. This moment is not only about receiving, it is also about release. Old weights, misplaced guilt, borrowed shame, and fears that were never yours to carry begin to loosen their grip. Lightness follows, not because life becomes perfect, but because burden leaves. People will sense the change before you explain it. They may notice calm where anxiety used to sit, steadiness where reaction once ruled. They won't be able to name it, but you will. Peace always leaves a signature. God says, preservation has always been part of your story. You are still standing because you were never abandoned. Even in moments you felt forgotten, protection remained active. Guidance never left the room. Archangel Michael says, the waiting season has fulfilled its purpose. What comes next does not arrive slowly, it arrives clearly. Not as confusion, but as confirmation. Not as fear, but as grounding. Do not misunderstand the significance of timing. Heaven does not move randomly. Moments align when readiness meets opportunity. What you are approaching is not an accident of chance, but a convergence of preparation. Remember why some things are revealed quietly. Not every truth needs witnesses. Not every breakthrough needs commentary. Some moments are meant to be recognized, not announced. You have felt the stirring because you are carrying capacity now. Capacity to hold insight without panic. Capacity to grow without rushing. Capacity to stand without approval. No opposition you faced had the power to cancel what was prepared. Resistance did not weaken you, it refined you. Every attempt to distract, discourage, or diminish only clarified what mattered. Archangel Michael says, what is settled in heaven no longer requires defense on earth. Your role is not to argue, explain, or convince. Your role is to remain steady. As this message continues, stay present. Not because something will be lost if you leave, but because clarity deepens when attention remains. Revelation unfolds in layers, not bursts. You are not standing at the edge of chaos, you are standing at the edge of understanding. And understanding changes everything, quietly, permanently, from the inside out. The verdict has already been written, and it does not bend with opinion or delay. What heaven decided was not temporary, not conditional, and not fragile. Restoration was signed before you ever questioned your worth, and promotion was approved before you ever feared you were running out of time. Nothing stamped by God's own hand can be challenged, reversed, or appealed. Now hear this where fear usually lives the loudest. The fear that whispers you waited too long. The fear that says you missed your moment. The fear that tells you others moved ahead while you stood still. Archangel Michael says, those voices were never truth, only noise. Time was not wasted, it was protected. What looked like delay was actually concealment, because God was preparing a moment so precise that no human effort could claim it. Understand why certain doors never opened when you begged them to. Some paths had to close so credit would not scatter. Some relationships had to fall away so confusion would not follow you forward. Some plans had to fail so clarity could finally take their place. When February 1st arrives before 11 p.m., perspective will shift, and the waiting will suddenly make sense. This is not the season to brace yourself in anxiety. This is the season to stand in expectation. Archangel Michael says, guard your focus fiercely, because distraction often shows up right before alignment. Sudden drama, unnecessary conflict, emotional noise from others. These are not accidents. Heaven says, stay centered, because clarity arrives only where attention remains steady. If you truly understood how close you are, fear would lose its grip immediately. You would stop rehearsing what could go wrong and start recognizing what is lining up. When heaven moves, it does not need explanation. You will not need to analyze it or convince yourself. You will recognize it the way the body recognizes warmth after cold. Picture standing at the edge of a vast ocean just as the wind begins to turn. The water has not yet surged, but you can feel it building. That is what your spirit is sensing right now. Not chaos, not danger, but momentum. What approaches is not limited to one area of life. It touches identity first, because alignment always comes before blessing. God says, this moment is about ownership. About heaven placing its seal on your life and declaring, without hesitation, that you belong. That declaration carries authority, and authority always brings exposure. Hidden motives surface. Buried truths rise. Illusions lose their strength. Do not fear what is revealed, because truth is not your enemy. Truth is the doorway to freedom. Archangel Michael says, do not run from what comes into the light. Exposure may feel uncomfortable, but it clears the ground for strength. Once truth stands, nothing false can hold you again. Confidence replaces hesitation. Authority replaces silence. Doors that resisted you for years begin to move without effort. What you are receiving is not just a gift, it is a mantle. A responsibility paired with strength. A calling paired with endurance. People will notice something different, not because you announce it, but because presence always speaks louder than words. The fire you carry will draw questions you never asked for. This fire was the reason resistance followed you early in life. Attempts to discourage you did not come because you were weak, but because you were marked. Yet every attempt to dim you only clarified what could not be extinguished. Heaven already knew the ending before the first challenge appeared. Hear this clearly, without pressure but with honesty. Dismissing moments of alignment always carries consequence, not because heaven punishes, but because readiness matters. Staying present is not about fear of loss, it is about respect for timing. What meets you on February 1st will not pass unnoticed if you remain attentive. You will not only witness change, you will embody it. Others will recognize it without explanation. They will sense stability where uncertainty once lived. Strength where doubt once ruled. And you will know, without question, that protection stood between you and destruction long before you understood the danger. Now listen deeper to what Archangel Michael says about your life. Heaven has never been silent about you. There are records bearing your name, carrying assignments that could not be rushed. Opposition tried to delay them, but every accusation has already been answered. Nothing stands unresolved. February 1st is not random, and it is not careless. It represents culmination, not pressure. Generational prayers, unfinished hopes, and quiet endurance all converge here. What felt like constant battle was actually preparation for stability. You wondered why life required so much resilience. Why strength was demanded so early. Why ease felt rare. The answer is simple, and steady capacity was being built. What comes next requires it. That constant resistance was never proof of failure, it was evidence of value. Every time you stepped forward and felt pushed back, it wasn't because you were wrong, it was because what you carried mattered. Archangel Michael says opposition follows assignment, not emptiness. Pressure forms around purpose long before purpose is revealed. Think about the pattern you couldn't explain. Joy interrupted by sorrow. Hope followed by disappointment. Doors that opened just enough to show promise, then closed again. That pattern was not cruelty. It was protection. Heaven was making sure nothing premature could claim what was meant to arrive whole. Archangel Michael says, chosen ones attract resistance because destiny has weight. The enemy does not waste effort on what holds nothing. He presses hardest against those who carry heaven's investment. Betrayal appeared where loyalty was expected. Silence met prayers that felt desperate. But none of it was wasted. What tried to break you was quietly shaping you. Every wound became awareness. Every scar became confirmation. The places you thought disqualified you are now the very places that prove you were preserved. Archangel Michael says your scars will not shame you, they will crown you, because survival itself is testimony that destiny endured. There is something older than you moving through your family line. A legacy mixed with pain and promise, strength and loss. Some before you dropped it. Some feared it. Some lost sight of it. But you were born with the capacity to carry it forward differently. That is why burdens found you early and dreams felt oversized. Archangel Michael says, you were sent to lift what others could not hold. That unexplained weight you felt was not pressure meant to crush you, but responsibility preparing to awaken. You were never meant to carry it alone, and you were never meant to fail with it. Do not treat this moment lightly, because cycles are ending here. Heaven says this is where repetition breaks and direction begins. What tried to loop in your life loses authority when recognition arrives. Staying present matters now more than effort ever did. Those 3 minutes spoken of are not ordinary time. In the natural, they seem brief. In the spiritual, they are expansive. Archangel Michael says those moments hold exchange, release for burden, clarity for confusion, insight for waiting. Eternity can move in what feels like a breath. Different people will experience it differently, but all will recognize it. Some will feel peace settle deeply. Others will sense clarity sharpen suddenly. Some will receive understanding that bypasses logic. There is no fear in it. It is heaven's mark of confirmation. Archangel Michael says, guard that window with intention. Not with anxiety, but with attention. Do not let distraction steal presence. What arrives there sets trajectory, not pressure. It aligns rather than overwhelms. Between now and that moment, expect resistance to increase briefly. Sudden conflict, emotional noise, unexpected confusion, these are not signs of loss, but of proximity. The closer alignment comes, the louder interference becomes. Heaven says, do not engage what tries to derail focus. Archangel Michael says, endurance here is simple but powerful, stay steady. You are not required to fight, argue, or explain. Heaven's armies are already positioned. What matters is that you do not abandon awareness now. When the shift arrives, it will come with direction. A word, an impression, an understanding may rise quietly. Do not dismiss it. It will not demand immediate explanation. It will ask for trust. That instruction will be key, not information. Archangel Michael says, guard what is given until clarity unfolds. Some things mature best in silence. Timing protects purpose. Revelation does not rush, it unfolds. Remember this clearly when confirmation comes. This moment is larger than you. It touches others through you. Influence follows alignment naturally. You are becoming a signal, not a spotlight. God says, readiness is not perfection. It is willingness. You were never chosen because you felt qualified. You were chosen because you were willing to grow. That is why your life never blended in easily. You carried pain quietly, but it was never unseen. Every silent tear, every night of endurance, every season of questioning was recorded. Heaven does not forget what earth overlooks. Now awareness is breaking through the noise. Not loudly, not forcefully, but clearly. What leans toward you now does not come to test you, but to confirm you. Stay present. Not because something will be lost if you leave, but because something is being recognized as you remain. Something is shifting around you right now, even if your eyes cannot see it yet. There is movement in the unseen, a gathering that feels quiet but powerful, and Archangel Michael says heaven is not observing from a distance. Heaven is engaging. There is intention in this moment, and it is directed toward you with precision. Feel the gravity of what is being spoken, not as pressure but as alignment. The 1st of February is not being presented as a threat or a test, but as a marker, a spiritual boundary between what has been endured and what is being entered. On one side stands every unanswered question, every delayed hope, every season that demanded endurance. On the other side stands clarity, restoration, and forward motion. You are not being rushed across this line, you are being guided. Understand this clearly so doubt loses its footing. The confusion of past seasons was not a mistake in direction. It was formation. Every closed door was not rejection, it was protection from paths that could not sustain you. Every broken connection was not abandonment, it was refinement. Archangel Michael says preparation has reached completion, and readiness has replaced waiting. What approaches will not arrive quietly because it lacks substance. It will be unmistakable because it carries specificity. Not spectacle, but recognition. Not chaos, but confirmation. It will resonate with your identity in a way coincidence never could. You will recognize it because it aligns rather than agitates. Look back at the subtle moments you almost ignored. The inner nudges. The repeated impressions. The dreams that stayed with you longer than logic allowed. Those were not distractions. They were deposits. Archangel Michael says those seeds were placed intentionally, layered over time, waiting for the moment when understanding could hold them without fear. Nothing in your story has been random. Patterns, pauses, even pain, each thread has been woven deliberately. What you once labeled loss was often repositioning. What you called delay was often preservation. When clarity arrives, it does not rewrite the past, it redeems it. There is also a generational weight being addressed here. Cycles that repeated before you did not begin with you, and they do not end by accident. Archangel Michael says you carry the capacity to interrupt what once felt inevitable. That is why resistance felt disproportionate. That is why battles seemed heavier. When cycles are close to breaking, pressure intensifies. Do not underestimate the significance of standing here now. Ending patterns requires awareness, not force. It requires recognition, not perfection. Heaven is not demanding effort from you, it is confirming position. You may feel ordinary, but heaven measures differently. What you call weakness, heaven calls humility. What you call limitation, heaven calls focus. What you call delay, heaven calls timing. Archangel Michael says you were never overlooked, you were refined. Between now and clarity, guard your attention. Not everything that feels urgent is important. Not every opportunity is alignment. Distraction often wears the mask of convenience. Heaven says remain steady, because steadiness keeps direction clear. Understand this without fear. Interference increases near alignment. That does not mean something is wrong. It means something is close. Resistance often speaks loudest when it has the least authority left. When recognition comes, it may not announce itself dramatically. It may arrive as understanding, peace, or a sudden settling inside you. You will know because it will not demand proof. Truth carries its own weight. Those 3 minutes spoken of represent focus, not frenzy. They signify a window of attention where awareness sharpens and insight settles. In that space, exchange happens, old burdens loosen, clarity arrives, direction steadies. Archangel Michael says do not fear the experience, receive the alignment. What is given there is not meant for immediate explanation. It is meant for growth. Instruction may come quietly. Insight may unfold gradually. That does not reduce its power, it protects it. Remember why silence matters here. Not because others are dangerous, but because development needs space. Some things strengthen before they are shared. This moment is not only about you, but it does begin with you. What aligns in you will eventually touch others. Influence follows authenticity naturally. God says readiness is not about feeling strong. It is about remaining present. You are not required to have every answer, you are required to stay aware. As this continues, resist the urge to rush resolution. Let recognition mature. Let understanding deepen. What settles now shapes what lasts. Stay here not from fear of missing out, but from respect for timing. What is unfolding is not forcing its way in. It is waiting for recognition. And as clarity grows, you will realize this truth without needing to prove it. The path ahead is not built on what you lost, but on what you learned, and that learning has prepared you to move forward with steadiness, not strain. What you are sensing now is not imagination, it is contact. It is heaven's hand resting gently but firmly on your life, and Archangel Michael says do not pull away from it. This is not something meant to frighten you or overwhelm you. It is the seal of destiny being set in place, and once it is set, nothing written against you can undo it. Lies lose their grip. Doubt loses its voice. What is marked by heaven cannot be erased by fear. Understand this clearly so you are not shaken when clarity arrives. When the miracle unfolds, it will bring revelation with it. Hidden truths will rise. Things you suspected but never confirmed will come into focus. People you trusted may be revealed differently than you expected. Do not panic when this happens. Archangel Michael says truth always arrives before freedom, and exposure is not meant to harm you, it is meant to heal you. This revelation will feel sharp before it feels relieving. It may sting before it strengthens. Illusions will fall, but clarity will replace them. And once clarity settles, deception loses access to you. This is not punishment, it is protection. The miracle is not only about what you receive, it is about how clearly you begin to see. Remember, this is larger than personal gain. What happens through you will move beyond you. Heaven is positioning you as a signal, a testimony, a living reminder that faith is not empty and hope is not foolish. Some will question it. Some will envy it. Some will try to explain it away. But others will recognize it and be drawn toward the light you carry. What begins with you will ripple outward. People you never expected will be impacted by your steadiness, your clarity, your quiet confidence. And when they ask where that strength came from, you will know it was never something you manufactured. It was something entrusted to you. Archangel Michael has been present in ways you never saw. He stood in moments you don't remember clearly. He intervened in seasons you thought you barely survived. When fear tried to overtake you, protection stepped in. When despair whispered loudly, defense answered quietly. You were carried through storms you did not have language for at the time. That is why the urgency you feel now is not pressure, it is proximity. February 1st represents a turning point, not because the date itself is magical, but because timing has matured. Everything before it was preparation. Everything after it is movement. You are not meant to shrink back now, because growth has already occurred. As the days narrow, recognize what you are approaching is not an event, but an encounter. Encounters do not just motivate temporarily, they reframe permanently. Archangel Michael says when that moment arrives, understanding will collapse years of confusion into a single clear realization you were never forgotten. Those 3 minutes spoken of are not measured by clocks alone. They represent focus, alignment, and attention. In that space, striving gives way to recognition. What you could not force through effort becomes clear through awareness. Fear loosens. Identity stabilizes. Direction sharpens. Do not measure what happens only by what changes around you. External shifts may follow, but the deeper miracle happens within. Confidence replaces hesitation. Peace replaces confusion. You begin to see yourself through heaven's lens instead of through the opinions of those who misunderstood you. Archangel Michael says this transformation is the true gift. Provision may come. Healing may come. Restoration may come. But clarity is what sustains all of it. Knowing who you are anchors everything else. There are records tied to your life that have not been ignored. Nothing you endured vanished into nothingness. Every act of faith, every quiet kindness, every unseen tear has been acknowledged. Heaven does not forget what earth overlooks. This moment is not random, it is responsive. It is the answer to endurance, not performance. To faith, not perfection. The weight you feel now is recognition, not demand. Because not everyone can celebrate this with a pure heart, wisdom matters. Guard what settles into you. Write down what becomes clear. Hold close what is revealed. Timing protects truth. What is placed within you during that window is meant to grow before it is shared. Not everything is meant for immediate explanation. Some things mature in silence. Stay steady, not anxious. Stay present, not pressured. What is unfolding does not need your effort, it needs your attention. And as clarity continues to rise, this truth will settle firmly within you. You were not late, you were prepared, you were not overlooked, you were protected, and what is now aligning was never meant to arrive any other way. What unfolds next will speak louder than explanation ever could. Doubt will fade as results begin to appear, not all at once, but with unmistakable order. Doors will open that once resisted you. Opportunities will align without manipulation. Steps will fall into place with precision that feels guided, not forced. And in time, even those who questioned you will recognize the truth they could not deny. When the sign arrives, it will move through you before it shows around you. It will stir your spirit deeply, not to unsettle you, but to awaken you. Heaven never shakes ground without intention. What cannot remain will fall away. What is eternal will stay. Old fears will lose their grip. Old habits will dissolve. Old limitations will no longer define your choices. This is how authority begins to show itself quietly. Your words will carry weight because they come from clarity, not noise. Your prayers will move things because alignment amplifies intention. Your steps will open doors because direction has replaced striving. This is not because you became someone else overnight, but because what was already within you has been sealed into place. Pay attention to the instruction that rises within you during that focused window. Archangel Michael says action will be prompted, not pressured. It may come as forgiveness finally released, a decision no longer delayed, a name or word impressed clearly, or obedience to something you have long avoided. Do not overthink it. Presence matters more than analysis here. Obedience in that moment carries multiplication. Not because it earns favor, but because it aligns flow. What feels simple may unlock complexity. What feels small may shift trajectory. Timing gives power to even quiet actions. The urgency you sense is not panic, it is readiness. Alignment often feels intense because it compresses distance. What once felt far suddenly feels close. Heaven has not forgotten your waiting. It has been counting it. The 1st of February represents convergence. Not pressure, but preparation meeting opportunity. The time before that hour strengthens focus. The moment itself brings recognition. What has been building finally reveals itself. Archangel Michael says this is an unveiling, not a spectacle. Destiny does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it simply becomes undeniable. What you have been becoming quietly will stand clearly. Remember why you were chosen. Not because you were flawless. Not because you were the strongest. But because heaven entrusted you with endurance. With learning. With growth. Willingness mattered more than perfection. As the moment approaches, keep your inner world steady. Doubt may attempt to whisper urgency in the wrong direction. Fear may try to replay old narratives. Do not entertain them. The outcome has already been written. Heaven has positioned confirmation ahead of you. People, circumstances, timing pieces are already moving. What comes will not need defense. It will stand on its own. When clarity arrives, your body may sense it before your mind names it. Stillness in the air. Awareness sharpening. A calm certainty replacing years of questioning. Recognition does not argue with you, it settles. Do not confuse readiness with passivity. Prepare your heart by staying attentive. Align your thoughts with expectation, not anxiety. Heaven responds to steadiness. The opposition that tries to surface now has limited reach. Distraction has noise, but no authority. Accusation has volume, but no foundation. What has been sealed does not require debate. You are not stepping into survival mode anymore. You are stepping into influence. Influence that carries responsibility, but also stability. Wisdom has been built through experience, not theory. Every scar you carry has become understanding. Every tear refined empathy. Every delay trained patience. Nothing was wasted. What flows through you next is meant to reach others. Not because you seek attention, but because light naturally spreads. People will sense safety in your presence. Direction in your words. Hope in your steadiness. This is why your miracle matters beyond you. Others are waiting on the clarity you carry. On the peace you model. On the authority you step into quietly. When the instruction comes, respond without hesitation. Trust what rises from within rather than what debates in the mind. Recognition often speaks softly. Archangel Michael says this moment closes a long chapter and opens a stable one. The floodgates open through alignment, not force. Stay present now. Not because something will vanish if you leave, but because what unfolds is meant to be recognized fully. You are not standing on the edge of uncertainty. You are standing at the threshold of confirmation. And as everything aligns, this truth will become unmistakable. You did not arrive here by accident, you were prepared carefully, guided patiently, and positioned deliberately for what unfolds next. What comes next will require trust, not analysis. For some, the instruction will feel bold, even uncomfortable. A decision you avoided, a step you delayed, a word impressed on your heart that doesn't yet make sense. Others will be prompted to write a name, a vision, or a single phrase that lands with weight. Do not question where it came from. Archangel Michael says it will not rise from logic, it will rise from spirit, and your spirit will recognize the source immediately. After the miracle, do not be unsettled when movement follows. Shifts will begin to happen around you. Certain friendships may drift. Family matters once hidden may surface. Paths you thought were permanent may suddenly redirect. This is not loss, this is alignment. Archangel Michael says the shaking is not sent to harm you, but to remove what cannot walk with you into what is next. Do not cling to what heaven is lifting away. Release with faith instead of resistance. What leaves creates space. What falls away makes room. What is removed will be replaced with something stronger, truer, and more sustaining than what you held before. Here is the promise you must hold firmly. You will not miss your moment as long as you remain expectant. Guarding your spirit matters more than watching the clock. Heaven does not tease destiny. Archangel Michael has stood too long in defense of your life. God has invested too deeply in your future. What is approaching will not bypass you. Understand the weight of what you survived to reach this point. You walked through fire and did not burn. You faced storms meant to overwhelm you and still found breath. You were struck, but never destroyed. Why? Because protection never stepped away. Archangel Michael stood watch when you could not see. Intervention happened in places you never entered. Every attempt against you was answered before it reached you. Accusations were silenced. Plans collapsed before forming. Moments you thought were endings were quietly paused by heaven. And now Archangel Michael says the season of preservation gives way to the season of rising. February 1st is not just another date passing on a calendar. It represents activation, attention, readiness. Heaven has marked it with intention. Angels are aware of it. You are being prepared to recognize it. When that window opens, time itself may feel different. Focus sharpens. Awareness deepens. For a brief span, the noise recedes and clarity steps forward. The weight you feel is not fear, it is recognition. You will know, without needing proof, that you were remembered. Do not be surprised when others do not understand your elevation. They will see doors open and call it luck. They will see favor surround you and call it coincidence. They will not see the cost paid in silence, the endurance built in isolation, the prayers whispered without witnesses. What looks sudden to them was prepared slowly in heaven. They may not understand it, but they will not be able to deny it. In the days leading up, remain steady. Old fears may try to resurface. Old wounds may attempt to reopen. People from earlier chapters may reappear carrying confusion. These are not random encounters. They are distractions timed to pull focus. Archangel Michael says stand firm. Clarity comes to those who remain present. When pressure increases, recognize proximity. Resistance often intensifies when alignment is near its peak. The shaking signals release, not retreat. There is also instruction tied to a name. You may be shown a person, a voice, or a face connected to what unfolds next. Do not ignore it. Write it down. That name will carry direction. For some, it reveals who worked quietly against you. For others, it identifies who will stand with you moving forward. This miracle is not only blessing, it is unveiling. You were hidden intentionally. Protection required obscurity. Growth required patience. Revelation waited for maturity. If you had risen earlier, pressure would have crushed you. If recognition had come sooner, pride might have misled you. Now Archangel Michael says the covering lifts. You are stepping forward not by effort, but by command. What emerges is not rushed, but ready. The heaviness some of you feel right now is not fear. It is transition. Pressure precedes birth. Something within you is forming its way into expression. Do not interpret the weight as punishment. It is proof of arrival. Archangel Michael says do not stop now. The labor is ending. The release is near. When recognition comes, it will not hide. Signs will confirm alignment. Patterns will repeat. Awareness will sharpen. These are acknowledgments, not distractions. Receive them with gratitude, not obsession. They point, they do not replace discernment. Let this truth anchor you as everything unfolds. Your story does not conclude in sorrow. It does not end in silence. It moves toward clarity, stability, and purpose. On February 1st, before 11 p.m., a chapter turns. What follows carries permanence. What arrives carries confirmation. Archangel Michael says do not fear it, do not doubt it, and do not delay your readiness. What has been aligned will find you aware, grounded, and prepared. And when it does, you will recognize this final truth without effort: you were not late, you were preserved, you were not overlooked, you were protected, and what meets you now was never meant to arrive any other way.